Kyoma had been married to Kunle for 5 years. From the outside, they were the perfect couple, beautiful home, booming business, regular appearances in church and at social events. But behind closed doors, their marriage was a slow-burning war. It started with subtle remarks. "When will you give me a child, Kyoma? My mother is starting to ask questions. You're a woman, this is your duty." At first, Kyoma blamed herself. She visited hospitals, prayed at vigils, and even drank herbal concoctions whispered to bring fertility. Yet, month after month, her womb remained silent. Kunle grew colder. His affection turned into avoidance, and avoidance into anger. Kyoma began to sleep alone in the massive house they once built together in love. But nothing could prepare her for what he said one rainy night. "I should never have married you," he hissed. "You're infertile. Useless. I need a real woman. Someone who can give me a child, not prayers and tears." That same week, he served her divorce papers. 2 weeks later, Kunle's family arrived with trucks and insults, kicking her out of the house she helped build, with nothing but the clothes on her back and the shame of her so-called barrenness. Her world crumbled. Friends vanished. Family members whispered. In her darkest moments, she questioned her worth. But somewhere, in that deep sorrow, something stronger was being formed. The first spark of a fire that would one day change everything. The journey back to the village was not just a change of location for Kyoma, it was a journey through shame, heartbreak, and complete loss of identity. Once celebrated as Mrs. Kunle, the elegant wife of a rising business tycoon, she now walked the dusty roads of her father's compound with her head bowed, trying to ignore the judgmental stares and stinging whispers. She couldn't even give him one child. "I heard he kicked her out himself. A whole fine woman like that, it's a pity." Even her own stepmother treated her with scorn. The woman would drop passive remarks during meals like, "A woman without a child is like a tree that bears no fruit. What's the point?" The nights were worst, dark, quiet, and endless. Kyoma cried silently on a thin mattress in a small room that smelled of old memories and lost dreams. For months, she did nothing but grieve. But grief, no matter how deep, eventually gives way to choice: stay broken or rise. And Kyoma chose to rise. One morning, after overhearing a group of women mocking her by the well, something snapped. She walked back into the house, stood in front of the mirror, and barely recognized the woman staring back, hollow eyes, thin cheeks, and a spirit buried beneath years of rejection. That day, she picked up a small notepad and wrote at the top of the page, "I will rebuild myself." She enrolled in a local women's cooperative that taught small business skills. With the little money her late mother had left in an old purse, she bought beans and started frying akara by the roadside. Some days, she made just 1,000 Nigerian nairas. But she showed up every single morning, apron tied, smile ready, heart determined. She saved every naira like her life depended on it. And in many ways, it did. Soon, her akara became famous for being crispy outside and fluffy inside. Orders came in from nearby shops, then schools. She diversified, added moi and zobo. A young teacher, who often bought from her, suggested she register for an online culinary business course. That course opened her eyes to branding, pricing, customer retention, and more. The fire was lit. Kyoma moved to Enugu with her savings and started a small kitchen from a one-room apartment. She called her business Taste of Grace. At first, she cooked from a tiny stove, delivering meals on foot. Within 2 years, she had 4 staff, a small delivery bike, and catered for parties and weddings. She appeared on local TV once. Her face began to reappear in places she never imagined, not as that barren woman, but as Madam Taste of Grace. She transformed, inside and out. No longer the broken wife, she became a CEO, a mentor, and a silent prayer warrior. She helped other young women start businesses, sponsored 3 girls back to school, and even built her father a new house to replace the crumbling family home. But one part of her dream remained untouched: motherhood. She had stopped checking the calendar or counting days. She had accepted, or at least she told herself she had. Yet sometimes, at the sound of a baby's laughter in the market, or the sight of a mother rocking her child on the street, her chest would tighten. Then one day, she went for a routine medical checkup. Just something the clinic was offering for free as part of a community health program. As the nurse checked her vitals and filled her forms, she asked, "Ma, when last did you see your period?" Kyoma blinked. I thought it was stress," she stammered. "Let's run a quick test," the nurse said casually. Kyoma didn't think much of it, until the nurse returned, smiling with raised eyebrows. "Ma, congratulations. You're pregnant." Kyoma sat frozen. Her ears rang. Tears welled up. She whispered, "Jesus. Jesus," after all the years, after all the shame, after all the names they called her. A miracle had come. And she didn't even know that the miracle was double. Pregnant. With twins. It took days before Kyoma fully believed it. The hospital confirmed it, not 1 heartbeat, but 2. She carried life, not just one, but a double blessing, the very thing she was told she could never have. Her heart danced, her spirit lifted, and her knees constantly found the ground in gratitude. She moved more slowly now, more gently, but her business didn't stop. In fact, news of her pregnancy added to her fame. People marveled, "Madam Taste of Grace Don carry bell oh. God is indeed faithful." Those who once pitied her now admired her. Her story became one of redemption, of divine timing. And then, he showed up. Kunle. He stood at the entrance of her shop one hot afternoon, dressed in a crisp white shirt that smelled of too much cologne and desperation. Time had aged him, but pride still clung to his face like starch on fabric. "Kyoma," he said, pretending to be casual. "You look good." Kyoma froze, momentarily stunned. She was not ready. Not for him. Not like this. But she quickly straightened her shoulders and smiled with grace. "I look pregnant," she corrected gently. "Good comes later." He laughed awkwardly, but she didn't. Silence fell between them like a heavy curtain. "I heard," he started again. "Congratulations. Twins, they say." Kyoma nodded, arms folded across her belly. "That's wonderful. Really, wonderful. I wanted to talk." "Maybe we can." "Talk about what?" she interrupted. "About how you kicked me out and called me barren. About how you signed the divorce papers with relief and told your mother I was a disgrace to your name." "Which part are we talking about today?" Kunle stammered. "I was under pressure. Everyone kept." "No, Kunle. You made your choice. I just want you to respect mine, which is not to go backward." Before he could respond, her assistant walked in. "Auntie Kyoma, that caterer is here to deliver the jollof rice pans." She nodded. "Tell her I'll be with her shortly." Turning back to Kunle, she said, "If you're here to apologize, I've already forgiven you." But if you're here to reclaim something you lost, I'm afraid that door is closed. His eyes flickered, the ego bruised. But before he could say anything more, Kyoma walked past him. But Kunle wasn't the only ghost of the past resurfacing. His mother, the very woman who once insulted her with infertile, which came crawling too. This time, with wrappers tied tightly around her chest and a sorrowful expression. My daughter, forgive me. I was misled by the devil. I didn't know you were a queen. I just want to see my grandchildren. And suddenly, everyone from her past, the village gossipers, her mocking stepmother, the women at the market, they all returned, mouths dripping with praise and hands extended for forgiveness. Kyoma smiled at them all. Polite, gracious. But she never forgot. Because now they came not with love, but with interest. Her success, her fame, her miracle, they wanted to benefit from it. But they didn't build it with her. They didn't bleed when she bled. They didn't pray when she prayed. And while she didn't close the door to kindness, she made sure they knew. Her heart was not a public playground anymore. And she would protect her children, her joy, her legacy, with everything she had. Kyoma's third trimester was not just filled with swollen feet and baby kicks, it was filled with unexpected visitors, rising tension, and emotional battles. Everyone seemed to want a piece of her life now. Some came with fake tears. Others came with real entitlement. But she was learning, not all peace came from silence. Some peace had to be fought for. One morning, her lawyer called. Kyoma, I think you should know this, your ex-husband is trying to challenge the paternity of your unborn twins. He's claiming he has a right to be in their lives, as their father. Kyoma's heart skipped. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe. Kunle? After all these years? After what he did? She sat quietly, then slowly placed her hand over her belly. No. Not on her watch. Kunle had abandoned her when she was nothing. He left her with a broken heart and an empty womb. Now that she was somebody, a respected businesswoman, a public success story, and a soon-to-be mother, he wanted to rewrite history. Not today. Not ever. She called a press conference, not out of pride, but for her peace. She told her story. Openly. Boldly. I was called barren. Mocked. Abandoned. But God rewrote my name. These children are a testimony, not just of fertility, but of strength. And no one, no man, will manipulate their story. The media loved it. Women rallied behind her. The nation buzzed. But Kunle didn't stop. He filed a petition in court, claiming he had a change of heart. That he had suffered enough, and wanted to co-parent, and make things right. Kyoma cried that night. Not because she feared losing, but because she was exhausted. Being strong all the time was not easy. Fighting battles she didn't start. Defending blessings she received through pain. But something amazing happened. On her final court date before the twins' delivery, a group of women, mothers, single women, divorced wives, women who had once been called barren, showed up in court, holding signs that read, "You're not alone, Kyoma. Infertility is not a death sentence. Miracles don't belong to manipulators." The judge looked at Kunle, then at Kyoma. His voice was firm. This court sees no merit in this case. Mr. Kunle, you abandoned your marital responsibilities and severed ties with the plaintiff years ago. You cannot claim what you did not nurture. This case is dismissed permanently. Outside the court, Kyoma broke down in tears. Tears of relief. Tears of gratitude. That night, she went into labor. It was a long night. Painful. Raw. Real. But as the sun rose, two cries echoed in the hospital room. A boy. And a girl. Healthy. Beautiful. Radiant. She held them in her arms, her heart bursting. "These are my answers," she whispered. "These are my victory." She named the boy Chukwubuka, God is great. And the girl Oluwadamalola, the Lord has blessed me with wealth. And that night, as the twins slept beside her, Kyoma finally slept in peace. Not because the war was over, but because she had won.